I always thought I understood my mother. Her moods, her silences, her sharpness, her fears. I grew up tiptoeing around all of it. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what she did on my graduation night. The evening started beautifully. The restaurant was a warm, candlelit haven from the early summer air outside. Guests laughed across tables, students still giddy with accomplishment. My family gathered around a long wooden table near the window, my father at the head, rigid as usual, my younger sister, Lily, already scrolling through her phone, my grandmother softly humming, and my mother, the one person I expected to simply smile proudly tonight. But she didn't look proud. She looked nervous. Her hands trembled as she arranged the silverware. Her eyes didn't stay still. And when the waiter brought out the drinks, sparkling apple cider for everyone except Dad, who insisted on whiskey, my mother stared at my glass like it held a secret she wasn't ready to reveal. I pushed aside the uneasiness. Tonight was supposed to be happy. The conversation flowed, mostly about my future, job applications, my thesis defense, but I kept noticing Mom, the way she kept checking her purse, the way she flinched every time my father opened his mouth, the way her breathing quickened whenever I raised my glass. And then it happened. While my grandmother distracted me with a story about her graduation in the 60s, I caught movement from the corner of my eye. My mother leaned forward, her fingers curled around something small and white. In one swift motion, she dropped it into my drink, her hand blocking the view of everyone else. The fizz was faint but unmistakable. Time froze. My heartbeat didn't. I set my fork down slowly, letting the metallic clink slice through the chatter. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and saw the panic beginning to bloom behind her practiced smile. I said nothing. I did nothing. I simply stood up, smiling. The table quieted instantly. Eyes turned toward me. My mother stiffened, her face draining of color. "Mom," I said pleasantly, "could you come with me for a moment? I want to talk to you." She blinked rapidly, her lips parting in confusion. "Talk about what?" I kept the smile on my face, the kind that made everyone else relax but made her panic more. "Just something quick." My father snorted. "Can it wait until after dinner? We haven't even ordered in trays." "No," I said still calmly, "it can't." Mom swallowed hard. Okay." I led her toward the hallway near the restrooms. Her steps were shaky, uneven. The second we were out of sight, her composure shattered. "What are you doing?" she whispered harshly. "Why are you acting like this?" I crossed my arms. "I should ask you the same thing. What did you put in my drink?" She flinched. "What? Nothing, I." "Mom," I said firmly, "I was looking right at you. What was it?" Her breath hitched. For a moment she looked around, as if expecting someone to materialize from the walls. Then, with a trembling exhale, she sank onto a bench against the wall. "It wasn't poison," she said, voice thready. "I figured," I muttered, "but go on." "A mild sedative," she croaked. "One that would make you drowsy. I thought you'd feel sick, asked to go home early." I stared at her. Why would you want me to leave my own graduation dinner? Tears welled in her eyes, and she pressed trembling fingers to her temples. "Because he's going to ruin it." "Dad?" I asked, stunned. She nodded shakily. "He knows." "Knows what?" Her voice cracked. "About the money." My blood ran cold. "What money?" She hesitated only a second before breaking. "The money I borrowed, in your name." My stomach dropped. She continued in a rush, words pouring out like she'd been holding them in for years. "Your father refused to help pay for your final year. He said you should have taken a cheaper major, something practical, something that would guarantee a job. He didn't care what you wanted. He didn't care you worked 2 jobs. You were going to drop out, and I couldn't let that happen. I borrowed from a private lender." "In my name," I whispered. "You were 17, she said helplessly. "They didn't ask questions. They just wanted someone they could corner later. I thought, Her voice cracked. I thought I could pay it off before you graduated. A bitter laugh escaped me, and let me guess, you couldn't. She shook her head. The lender called today, the debt doubled with interest. Your father overheard, he's furious. He says you ruined us. He says I ruined you. He wants to confront you tonight. He wants to make you admit your irresponsibility. She choked on the words. I closed my eyes, anger and disbelief churning through me. So your solution was to drug me so he would. I wanted to protect you, she whispered. I didn't know what else to do. Despite everything, that sentence hit me hard. My mother had always lived in my father's shadow, obeying him, shrinking herself, silencing her own thoughts. But when it came to me, she sometimes stepped out of line, sometimes too far. I took a slow breath. Mom, I said gently, you made a terrible decision, several actually. She lowered her head in shame. But you don't have to face it alone. She looked up, startled. We're going to go back to the table, I said. We're going to finish dinner, and after that you and I are going to deal with the debt, together, without Dad. Her eyes widened. Without him. Yes, I said. He doesn't get to berate either of us. I'll handle him if he tries. She stared at me for several moments, her tears glistening. Then she nodded, slowly, uncertainly. When we returned, my father glared at me like I'd personally offended him by taking my mother away. But he didn't say anything. Not yet. Dinner continued, although the atmosphere had shifted subtly. My mother's smile was stiff but present. She kept her hands folded tightly. I didn't touch my drink. My father drank more than usual. Near dessert, he finally leaned forward. Do you want to tell everyone, he said coldly, or should I? My mother tensed. Lily's head snapped up. My grandmother clutched her napkin. I inhaled calmly and set down my fork. Tell them what? That you're in massive debt, Dad spat. That you borrowed money irresponsibly. That you. I didn't borrow anything. I cut in, voice steady. He blinked, thrown off. Excuse me. You heard me, I said. I didn't borrow anything. His eyes narrowed. Your mother did in your name. I didn't look at Mom. Yes, she did. My mother whimpered softly. My father's jaw tightened into stone. And that's why, I continued, she and I will be handling it. He scoffed. You don't get to make that decision. I am still. No, I said simply. The table froze. No, he repeated, incredulous. No, I'm done letting you control everything, including my education, including my mother, and including me. A flush crept up his neck. How dare you speak to me that way? Dad, I said, leaning slightly forward, I graduated today, with honors, despite everything. What happened with the loan is complicated, but yelling at either of us won't fix it. I'm an adult. I'll take responsibility, but not your abuse. My father rose halfway from his chair, fists clenched, but my grandmother suddenly spoke. Sit down, Thomas. Her voice was soft, but it ripped through the tension like a blade. My father froze, then slowly lowered himself back down. His expression darkened, but he didn't say another word. Dessert arrived. The tension didn't leave, but something else filled its place, an understanding, fragile but real, between my mother and me. When the dinner finally ended, and we stepped outside into the cool breeze, Mom touched my arm. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said. We'll figure it out. She exhaled shakily. Thank you. We stood under the glow of the street lamp, the restaurant buzzing behind us, the future uncertain, but finally, mine to face. And for the first time that night, my smile wasn't forced. It was real.